Ginger itself is one of the oldest spices on record. Originally used by the ancient Chinese empires, it is a spice that helps reduce nausea and prevents infection. As for ginger beer, it was first created in Yorkshire, England in the 1700s and was made by mixing ginger, sugar, lemon, and cream of tartar together and left to sit and ferment, forming an alcoholic beverage. However, ginger beer is no longer alcoholic, despite its misleading name. It is actually not a beer at all, however it is made in a similar process. As for the alcohol content, most ginger beers today contain less than 0.5% alcohol, which, by FDA standards, is enough to be classified as a non-alcoholic beverage. Yeast is a special organism known as a facultative anaerobe, which means that it will produce energy aerobically via cellular respiration and anaerobically via alcohol fermentation. In the case of ginger beer, the yeast will first respire aerobically, using oxygen present in the container, and once this runs out, will switch to anaerobic respiration. The ginger beer fermentation first begins inside of a yeast cell with the introduction of glucose, which is obtained from the hydrolysis of sucrose into fructose and glucose. During glycolysis, which occurs in the cytosol, the glucose is broken down into two G3P molecules, each one converting NAD+ to NADH, and 2-ADP to 2-ATP, with an overall net gain of 2 ATP for the entire glycolysis process. This produces a total of 2 pyruvates, one from each side, with a little bit of water as well. In the presence of oxygen, pyruvate oxidation then occurs in the mitochondrial matrix of yeast cells, releasing carbon dioxide and converting pyruvate into acetyl-CoA, where it enters the citric acid cycle. This process produces 3 NADH and 1 FADH2 molecule for use in the electron transport chain and an ATP molecule. Most importantly, it produces carbon dioxide, which is used to give ginger beer its fizz by absorbing into liquid once it is released as a product of the aerobic respiration. Once all of the oxygen in the container has been used, the lack of oxygen causes the yeast cells to undergo alcohol fermentation. This process also begins with glycolysis. However, each of the 2 pyruvates are converted into acetylaldehyde, and this reaction releases carbon dioxide. From acetylaldehyde, NADH is converted back into NAD+, forming ethanol. The ingredients in the recipe I used were sugar, water, ginger, active dry yeast, and lemon juice. The ginger was peeled and grated and reduced over heat with the sugar to form a simple syrup. This syrup was strained and then combined with yeast, lemon juice, and water and left to sit for 3 days, with the final product being ginger beer. One fun fact is that ginger beer and ginger ale are not the same thing at all. Ginger beer is a fermented beverage more similar to kombucha or kefir, while ginger ale is the soda form of this beverage with less of a ginger flavor. This can therefore become quite confusing when you are trying to figure out what you are buying from the store, because the names are used interchangeably, and sometimes incorrectly, as some brands' ginger beer actually contains significant amounts of alcohol. To ensure that you buy what you're looking for, you can simply look at the labels. Ginger ale typically has high fructose corn syrup, while ginger beer has actual ginger root and yeast, and the incorrectly named ginger beer that does contain alcohol will have a Surgeon General's warning on the side. Another fun fact is that ginger beer is the main ingredient in a Moscow Mule, which can be made non-alcoholic using the recipe at the right.